Our flat is in an under 11 metre building, and the remediation that's required is work to the wooden balconies and the cladding surrounding those balconies, and also missing fire breaks across the development. We have an underground car park, and that's impacted the safety of our building. Our developer hasn't signed the self-remediation contract, although they have set aside a significant amount of money to remediate buildings that they have been involved with. They're under no obligation to do so in our case, because we're in an under 11 metre building. So there's no legal obligation for our developer or our freeholder to do anything in our case. And it's all due to the height of the building. And leaseholders, in my view, are blameless no matter what the height of the building. There's no cap on total costs and no cap on how much we would have to pay per year, and we would get that bill and be expected to pay it within a month. Otherwise we could potentially lose our homes. We first tried to sell our flat 4 years ago, so that's 4 years that we have been unable to move on, sell our flat, buy another property. It's like something that's just hanging over us all the time. And in that time, we've become accidental landlords. We have to rent our property out, which comes with its own set of stressful circumstances. We have to pay a consent to let to do that because we have a residential mortgage, and there's a whole other set of costs associated with letting a flat out. And because we can't remortgage, we've been forced onto a standard variable rate. So we're paying £1,100 a month for our mortgage, and that suddenly jumped to £1,900 a month. So the financial strain has been huge, and the toll on our mental health has also been huge, with all the uncertainty, not knowing, the huge costs month on month, and also the threat of a big bill just landing and us just having to pay it immediately. And that's all, in the context of our young family. When this all started, my daughters were 2 and 6, and now they're 6 and 10, and there's still no end in sight. It's really positive that the government is looking at cases in under 11 metre buildings on a case-by-case basis, but the process is just too slow, and there's no clarity around what will happen. So in our circumstance, we first sent our fire risk assessment off to them in October 2022. It took 8 months for them to reply and to say that assessment was substandard and that the conclusions drawn were not in line with the framework, and a further assessment needed to be done. In that period, we had already commissioned another assessment because we were also concerned about the quality of the previous one, and that was a much quicker process. And they agreed that in our case, fire safety remediation, life-saving fire safety remediation was required. But still, it's taken another 6 months for the government to finally come back, the Department for Levelling Up and Housing Communities, to come back and say, we've written to your developer requesting that they pay in your case. Even if a solution was found, because we're outside of those protections, in effect, it still might impact our ability to sell and remortgage properties. It may take away the stress of having to pay a one-off bill, but we may still have to, we still might struggle to sell and remortgage because there's no protection in place. So from a lender's point of view, there's still a significant risk until the law changes. All leaseholders need to be protected regardless of the height of their building, and the developers are the ones that need to be held accountable for fixing historical fire safety defects. And what the government needs to do is to bring in a simple, comprehensive protection that covers buildings like mine, so that people can sell and remortgage their properties and move on with their lives and not be faced with huge bills and uncertainty. And this situation is just going on and on and on, and it feels like it's never ending. It's already been 4 years, and they need to sort this out now.